there's a popular new phenomenon in South Africa and across the world, really. It's called polyamory. It might almost sound the same as polygamy, but it's not. Polygamy refers to when a man has more than one wife, where polyamory literally means many lovers. It's when men and women have more than one intimate relationship at a time with the other partner's consent. Many people have many questions about polyamory, and today we will bear it all. My very first guest is a married man whose girlfriend is also married. Stay with me, stay with me. He's extremely open about it and believes that there's many people that are interested in polyamorous relationship, but it's not that easy to find someone, is it? Please welcome Eric Vidi. I got it right, Eric Vidi. Nice to meet you, Eric. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So you're married?
I am.
And so is your girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay.
Although she wouldn't like to be called my girlfriend, I don't think.
Okay, what does she want to be called?
We've settled on the word lover.
Lover.
She says that when you call me girlfriend, all of a sudden you're putting me in this girlfriend box, and men don't treat their girlfriends very well. Lover's better.
Why was this your, I don't know, decision? Why did you decide to be in this structure of a relationship?
What made you think it was my idea?
Oh, whose idea was it?
Who do you think?
Your wife's?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And how did she approach you with the idea?
So, these things are interesting, right? So, I don't know if you've got a cell phone.
I do.
Do you do?
I do.
So it's quite interesting. You can send texts to people. Mm-hmm. And you can send all sorts of interesting things to people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I came home one night and I've told her not to text in the bath, and she put the phone down, right?
Okay.
And she said to me, it's a Friday afternoon, I've been talking to my friend Marissa all afternoon. Mm-hmm. We've been talking about sex and drinking wine. So I was born in the morning, Thando, but not yesterday morning. So I immediately poured her a glass of wine.
Yeah.
I said, I've noticed we've been having a lot more sex lately. She said, oh, you noticed that, did you? I said, when we're a man, we tend to notice these subtle things. What's been going on? And she said to me, you've always said that sex was important in a relationship and we should prioritize it. I said, what's going on? She says, I've been sexting a guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So now I've got a choice, right?
Yeah, it's either you leave her or
and that's what the script says.
Yes.
In the Western society, what I have to do is I have to break up with her immediately, leave a 15-year-old marriage, leave my 3 children, and go and cry in a corner somewhere. I have to call the divorce lawyers immediately. That's what it says. I didn't do that.
Instead?
I said to her, what do you get from this relationship from him that you don't get from me? You know what she said? It was horrible. She said, I feel desired.
Desired?
Yeah. She says, I'm a middle-aged woman now. I've had 3 children, slightly overweight. And here's this guy, and he can't get enough of me.
Okay, I really want to get more into this, but let's meet our next guest. He's a practicing advocate at the Johannesburg Bar who stands by our constitutional democracy's 3 fundamental values, and that's human dignity, equality, and freedom. He's going to give us a legal perspective on poly marriages. Please welcome Advocate Mark Oppenheimer. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, obviously, my first question is, are you in a poly relationship?
No, I'm currently single.
Okay, but would you consider it?
So it's an interesting question, right? I think you've got to try and work out when you've got these different choices in your life. As Erica said, there's this usual script about monogamy. So I think it's worth at least thinking about whether polyamory is an ethical option, how it's protected by law, and whether it's right for a particular individual. So what's interesting about South Africa is that we have some partial recognition for polyamorous relationships. So if you're a man and you come from an African custom law tradition, you can marry multiple women. But now if you're a woman and you want to marry multiple men, it's a crime.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it under African customary law, it's also a crime. So we talked earlier about this idea of freedom, dignity, and equality. And what we want in our society is that everyone really is equal before the law. So people who have different preferences, who want to run different kinds of relationships, should be given the freedom to do so and should be treated equally before the law, provided they do so with dignity. So the sense of saying, Eric talks about having an open conversation. So with his wife, they had this sense of transparency. There wasn't, there was this choice that he had. Yeah. But you might think that when you get married without the other person's consent, that's an infringement of their dignity. But if everybody is aware of the situation, they're being treated with dignity. And what's interesting about these sort of marriage equality movements So South Africa has a dark history where people were prohibited from being married if they came from different racial backgrounds. And we realized that that was inegalitarian and unjust, and we scrapped that.
And of course, they recognize gay marriages as well.
Yes, South Africa was the 5th country in the world to do that. And what we did was send a sort of a shockwave out to the rest of the world. So in America, they had within a 10-year period one state recognizing gay marriage, and now the whole country does. And so I think there are further battles in this line for equality. And really, what we've got to ask ourselves is, do the people that engage with the relationship do so freely?
Yes.
Are they harming anyone? No,
Is everyone
not.
happy? And if so, why aren't you? Are poly marriages not recognized?
As I say, we have this partial recognition for it. So our president has multiple wives.
Yes.
There's a Muslim marriages bill, which, if passed into law, and it has been sitting in abeyance for a long time, would again allow a man to have multiple wives, up to 4, with the consent of each prior wife. But, as Eric points out, there are women who would like to have multiple husbands.
And why can't they?
And why can't they?
Sure. Yeah. Look, I'm sure the audience has lots of questions. Don't be shy. You know you want to ask something. Go for it.
My question is for Mr. Eric. As far as I've been listening, the word polyamory means when 2 people are in a relationship but decide to have multiple lovers, okay? So why do you think society finds it wrong that women have multiple lovers when the word polyamory actually means when both male and female have multiple lovers? It sort of contradicts the word.
What a brilliant question. And I want us all to notice there are no women here today. And it's exactly for that reason, right? Because if a woman comes onto a show and says, I also want to have multiple partners, and that is certainly the experience, they're not allowed to, because society says that if a woman likes sex, they're a slut. We don't allow women to enjoy sex. And as it so happens, Daniel Bergner, Chris Donahue, academics have written books, and they found out that in 6 to 7 out of 10 cases, it's the woman who looks for the open relationship, not the man. Secondly, it's the women who get bored inside a relationship with the sex in particular. It's the women who get bored. It's not the men. And so, but our whole society has been set up, and it's about property law. So for the last 10,000 years, ever since the rise of farming, what we've had is men wanting to pass their property on to their children, and the only way to do that reliably is to control the women's reproduction. So we have to control, as societies, we have to control the women so that we can give our children, and we know that these are our children, our property. I think that's rubbish. Absolutely. I much prefer Marx's idea of equality before the law, and I think the patriarchy must fall. Hashtag patriarchy must fall.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. In terms of, are there set rules with, in terms of your lovers with your wife?
So the first thing I want to talk about is cheating. And the interesting thing about cheating is that cheating means to deprive somebody of something valuable through deceit. And when I have another lover, who am I depriving of what? There's no deprivation. And so, yes, very often when people decide they're going to have multiple relationships, there are sometimes rules. And those rules change, and often they just get watered down, and we leave them. So we did have some rules in the beginning, but we essentially don't have any rules right now, except for the safer sex idea.
Yes.
So we're very careful to make sure that we try to use condoms all the time. If one of us slips, because mistakes do happen, and it's the heat of the moment, and then we have sometimes had mistakes, and then because we're having an open conversation, we can then say, look, I made a mistake last night.
So a lot of trust needed, hey?
Well,
a lot of trust.
And that's, I read something this morning. If nobody's talking about it, it either means it's not important at all, or it means everything to them. So either it means nothing or it means everything. And so when it means so much, that's when you have to have the conversations.
Okay, we'll continue with this conversation after the break. We'll be right back with more, so stay where you are. before the break, we discussed and asked questions about poly relationships, where someone has more than one intimate relationship at a time, and everyone involved knows and approves of it. Carissa heads to the streets to put some couples on the spot. Take a look.
So this right here is Jerry, and I've got a very interesting question to ask you, Jerry. Would you ever consider being in an open or polyamorous relationship?
Could you repeat the question? Yes, I'll do it. I don't see a problem with that.
Would you ever be in an open relationship? On the count of three. 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
You're a bit hesitant there now.
No, too much.
Okay, we'll see how this pans out. Good luck to you guys. 3, 2, 1.
Hell no.
Okay, couple goals right there. You're on the same page at least.
That's interesting. That's my answer. No, man, I'm not that kind of guy. No, I don't think I would. Find it very gross.
It would need some thought. I need to understand who all is involved and how far out it goes. But yeah, why not?
I want to ask you, Leletu, would you ever be interested in having an open relationship?
I'm kind of... No, actually, no, I wouldn't.
Why was there that hesitation at
The
first?
thing is, we had this conversation with my boyfriend yesterday, and I was like two-sided about it, but I think I've made up my mind in terms of not having one.
Would you be interested in having an open relationship?
Yeah, I'll be interested. I mean, in this lifetime, you gotta learn lots of things. So it's like a way of finding yourself. So I'm open to it. So why not?
From the streets to the studio, put your hands together for Carissa Cupido. Hey, Sexulated. So a lot of people saying no to polyamorous relationships, but I think it might come from a selfish point of view in the sense that you're probably okay with you seeing other partners, but not okay with your partner seeing other people.
That's exactly it. I think it is important that people are kind of having this conversation in the first place, but I think there definitely is a bit of jealousy involved in it. Personally, I definitely would not be into it just because I am such a jealous person. I could never. I wouldn't want my partner to, and I wouldn't want to because I can't share myself in that way.
Yeah. I mean, Eric, you have kids. So how do you explain, do you even have to explain it to them? Do they know what the situation is?
So how do you explain your monogamy to kids?
True point.
So here's the thing, right? I was actually talking to an expert the other day about this. And she said kids internalize stuff all the time. And so you have to have a conversation, otherwise you don't know what they're internalizing. They're internalizing stuff. So for our relationships, our kids know that these are important people to us. Our kids are all prepubescent, they're all under 12. So they know that these are important people to us, and they kind of see them as part of our family. I mean, I've got one woman who's now an ex-girlfriend, if you like. We're no longer sexually involved. It's as if we're family, right? In fact, I'm going to be giving her kids some extra lessons now at the weekend because they're coming up for exams, and I've got some expertise in Afrikaans, for example, so I'm going to give and it's as if these people are family to us, and my kids love her kids, and it works incredibly well.
So then there's a misconception that they're just sexual relationships.
There's a misconception that they're just sexual relationships. If it's just sexual relationships, then it's swinging, basically.
Yeah.
And then that happens all very late at night behind closed doors. What we're having is actual relationships, loving relationships with more than one person, with the consent and full knowledge of everybody. But now I wanted to talk to you about that, Carissa, about being jealous, right?
Tell me more.
So if I have a son and a daughter, and my son says, I'm very jealous of my daughter, do I say to my daughter, you must stop that because my boy's being jealous? Or do I say to the person who's being jealous, you need to work on your jealousy? If somebody does very, very well at work, right? Do you say, hey, I'm jealous of that person. They must stop doing well at work.
But it's
they must
different.
Stop. When did we change the rules for romantic relationships?
I feel like
different, though.
It is different in the sense that it's physical. It's, you know what I mean? I guess we enter relationships when we almost want to own the other person.
You know, we outlawed slavery in 1838.
Yeah, this is a fact.
I get that.
Yeah.
You're mine. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. I don't get. This is what happened with my wife, right? She said to me, it's my cell phone, it's my data, it's my body. Since when do you get to tell me what I must take a photograph of with my cell phone and my data?
Sure, I don't know, but have you seen marriages fall apart because of polyamorous relationships?
So I think marriages fall apart all the time in monogamous relationships. So what's interesting is people will tell a story about, they'll say, well, I had this friend at university and they experimented with poly relationship, but it didn't work out. Therefore, it'll never work out for anyone. But if you substitute that poly relationship for I had a relationship with anyone and it didn't work out, you wouldn't quit monogamy, you wouldn't quit seeing people. Sure. I think the other thing we must bear in mind is that there's a certain kind of narrative that people have grown up with. You think about every Disney movie, it's about this, young girl who meets Prince Charming, who whisks away on her feet, and they're together forever. And there isn't much of this narrative of what if you had multiple lovers. So that immediately kind of is why you probably have this prejudice with the people that you interviewed. It's a different idea. And I'm sure if you went 15 years ago and said, how do you feel about gay relationship, that have said, it's disgusting. It's not what I do.
Exactly.
So on a kind of legal perspective as well, we want to think about the sense of minority rights. So it may be that it is a preference held by a very small number of people, but that doesn't mean that we want to treat those people badly or afford them a different set of rights. And it also might be that as it becomes a culturally accepted norm, one that isn't causing harm to anyone, that more people feel comfortable expressing what they really want. And I think for much of human history, we haven't really had this pairing forever, that what's happened is there's been this deceit. So people take lovers, they cheat, and this polyamorous movement is about transparency and a sort of ethical approach to relationships. Also, if you think about the kind of person who's willing to engage in this relationship, they're going to be very thoughtful about their relationship. So they're going to have this open discussion in a way that monogamous people often don't, because it's terrifying to talk about things in your relationship. Often what's interesting when we talk about jealousy, they talk about compersion. So compersion is
what
this.
What does that mean?
It's so if jealousy is the negative feeling that you feel when you see your partner with someone else. Compersion is the positive. So if you think about when you've got two friends who you love deeply.
I never have compersion.
Well, I think you will. So
Thando,
you've got two friends who love each other and you love them and you see them together and they get on like a house on fire.
Yeah.
You say, that's fantastic. I'm so happy that you guys get on. And you think that that's a healthy thing to have with regards to friends, and maybe it's one of those things that some people are capable of having with regards to their lovers. Much better state of affairs to have than this sense of bitterness and jealousy.
Sure. Well, I'm sure everyone at home has their own opinions and thoughts. If you want to share them, please head on over to our social media. Thank you guys for sharing your insights and your experiences. Talented artist who gigged and toured for the past 7 years throughout the country. Please put your hands together for Janie Bay. Hi, Janie. Welcome to the show. Would you consider a polyamorous relationship?
No.
Not for you?
Not for me.
Not for you?
No.
Okay, well, let's talk music.
Yeah.
You released your album, Miscellany, in September.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about it.
Miscellany means a mixture of things. So there is just quite a few different sounds and songs and genres mixed together on the album. So that's why I call it Miscellany.
So you can jam to it, cry to it.
Definitely.
And of course, you've performed with some of the biggest musical acts in South Africa. Who's been your favorite to perform with?
Wow. Well, I've done a performance with Jack Barrow a couple of times, and that's pretty interesting.
That is, that's an interesting combination.
Yeah, very
And
cool.
what kind of sound do you guys create together?
We did a collab together. The song was called Veilig, and so he asked me to perform the song with him a few times.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So what's
very
next
cool.
for you? What's next for Janie?
Promoting the album, I guess. Like I'm here now doing that. So yeah, just getting it out there.
Okay, well, we're all super excited. Put your hands together for Janie Bay.
Seem to understand. We try so hard, it fails so much. Nothing in this world can change it, nothing stays the same. On the other side, it seems we get along, fulfill our dreams. We build a bridge for us to stay alive. A smile has never felt me. It lights me up inside, I'm holding on to what it gives me. And love will always comfort me, 'cause I know that it's real. And nothing you can say will change it. Surely love will come back my way. understand. We look away, we change our minds. Another reason why we can't align. On the other side, it seems we give a hand so selflessly. We learn to give someone some peace of mind. A smile has never failed me. It lights me up inside. I'm holding on to what it gives me, and love will always comfort me, 'cause I know that it's real, and nothing you can say will change it. Surely love will come back my way. A smile has never failed me. It lights me up inside. I'm holding on to what it gives me, and love will always comfort me, 'cause I know that it's real, and nothing you can say will change it. Surely love will come back my way.